Yeah, let's have a conversation of some of the industry trends and what's happening, right?
Absolutely. So, uh, I am post pandemic. I'm seeing a strong focus for industry leaders, not only in manufacturing, oil and gas, but across the core industries that we support. Uh, there had been a lot of budget allocation and prioritization on activities focused on supply chain and procurement. Right. I personally feel like post pandemic, the pressure on the supply chain, on the logistics, on the procurement, that has increased. And we actually, in a recent study published, we are actually going to see a 93% year over year CAGR on supply chain and demand forecasting related activities powered by AI and supercharged by Gen AI.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because across all of the industries that the three of us focus on, we have seen a lot of supply chain disruptions and things that enterprise couldn't really predict in their business. And I think there's also geopolitical factors. And think about how companies used to do a lot of outsourcing and they move their manufacturing, their sourcing to other continents. Now they're trying to see bring them back near shore or onshore, right? All of the logistics disruptions, not only through the pandemic, but for like port closures or strikes and all different kinds of disruptions. And they really necessitated this kind of level of investment. Pedro, you do a lot of work in travel and logistics, and I'm sure you've seen the same thing.
I think that something that we need to talk about is the cultural shift after the pandemic. We are now in a different age, the AI age, and people want to work from home, but those factories need to be operated. Um, Employees and people in general much rather find jobs that allow them to work remotely, having the freedom to manage their own time and then manage their own location. But the facilities still need to be operating. And that's where AI comes into place. There is heavily investment on automation because there is a labor shortage, or at least a labor shortage in place in at the factory, at the terminals, at the different facilities, and
In
there's a
the
big
headquarter offices
in the
and for
headquarter.
people doing the analytics and reporting and managing. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's where AI come into play. That's where all this heavy automation. It also allows for all that labor that is going to be in home, at home operating or working, to focus on my or more um, result minded tasks, more like value added tasks, rather than just manual efforts that are tedious and really don't yield a lot of results.
Another interesting thing. So these are great points. Where I'm seeing a very unique usage is mimicking what if scenarios, because
Simulations.
simulations,
What
right?
if? Yeah.
The geopolitical uh, and the environmental challenges that we have today is unique.
Hmm.
So it's not that the organizations have faced it in the past and they exactly know what's going to work for them. I think that's where AI and Gen AI powered solutions uh, are really becoming super useful, where they can mimic these scenarios and they can run a number of tests, and based on that, the organizations and the business unit leaders uh, can be prepared in terms of the actions they need to take to mitigate them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. One of the things in my previous company that focused on supply chain software we talked about is this scenario planning, what if scenario planning and simulation. Traditionally, you might be able to do a handful or a few dozen different scenarios. With the power of AI, you can now run hundreds, if thousands of scenarios simultaneously. And then AI can say, here are the top three, top five, and allow the human decision makers to look at those and then make the final decision, right? So the amount of scenarios covered is vastly increased.
Another cultural shift in the last few years is customer expectations are changing drastically. Customers are not willing to wait 30 minutes on the phone to
Yeah,
get an answer to their problems.
right.
They need the ability to solve their problems on time, or else they will go to another company that can solve those problems in real time. Um, of course, you cannot scale if your workforce is not growing, but you can scale with AI agents. You can scale with conversational AI, and the time to get a response is significantly lower. The other thing is more consistent because now you're able to train that AI and provide similar answers to similar questions without having to change the script or having different humans having to learn that particular process. So there is a big cultural shift when it comes to customer expectation that is driving uh, the age of AI.
Yeah, I remember the early days of the pandemic with all the empty shelves and, people were frustrated with that. Now, especially with some of the large companies, Amazon in retail in particular, set the expectation for customers' experience, right? You expect things to show up within an hour overnight,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people don't have the patience to wait because you're saying there's a supply chain disruption somewhere.
yeah. The business process continuity and resiliency has to be on a different level these days. That will not only ensure that the organizations are staying in the business, but will also give them a competitive edge. Uh, Being at the right time at the right place and being prepared beforehand, that's just a huge competitive edge. And at Neudesic, we are seeing this again and again with our customers. Uh, Whenever we are touching the supply chain and procurement related business use cases, the return on investments is astronomical, and it's just not get once and forget, but those returns stacks year after year, right? These solutions you mentioned agentic AI. The best part about it is the way we build the frameworks. uh, it becomes easy for the organizations uh, to use it in a modular nature and build on top of it, right? So it's not only addressing a specific part of supply chain and procurement and inventory management or demand forecasting, but it just enables the organization to explore other areas as well, uh, standing on the shoulder of those existing agentic AI frameworks.
When it comes to resilience, the best thing that I can think about on how AI can support is like irregular operations. I feel like companies can plan for their day to day. They can even plan for holidays, or they can plan for the biggest shopping day of the year, but they cannot plan for the unknown. They cannot plan for what happened if the supply chain get disrupted. And that's where AI adds a lot of resilience to it. It allows it to scale, and that translates to me into trust. Customers that can trust their brands, that can trust their companies, will be able to support them no matter what, in what difficult situations. And that's another big push for AI in supply chain.
Yeah, there's 2 different, probably more than 2, but the 2 different kinds of AI in supply chain. There's been the predictive AI, which is powered by machine learning. That's been around for quite a longer bit of time than the Gen AI. I think there's place for both. Most enterprise companies understand how machine learning algorithms and predictive AI work in supply chain, but a lot of them are trying to figure out how to incorporate Gen AI in that. And we were talking about labor shortage and challenges. There is a certain amount of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about Gen AI. Is it going to replace employee? I think what you touched on earlier was perfect. It's not about replacing human, it's making them more productive, giving them more flexibility of where and how they can work so that they can work on things that are more value add instead of copying data from one system to another, right? Doing those mindless type of tasks. So when we talk about AI powered supply chain, there's all these different aspects of how it can make supply chain better.
No, absolutely. You brought up a very, very interesting point, Shannon. Um, the the traditional machine learning models still has a place, right? They are time tested for the specific task that they're built. They have just amazing accuracy because of the amount of data and amount of trial and error they went through, right? Um, However, Gen AI, to your point, just opens up a very different competitive age. But not only that, it opens up a whole new world of usability. Now, these models and systems are not only getting used by a handful of people and not only getting enhanced just by a core data science team, but everyone can have a hand in that. And this becomes specifically very, very important for the factory operators, right? Because they know the business in and out, and now they can have a hand in terms of predicting or in terms of controlling how your system is performing. So it's the tuning part has become very easy, right? That because of that interface that Gen AI provides.
Yeah.
I see one of my favorite things about the use of Gen AI in the field, at least, is it moves people from understanding how to perform a task to learning how to learn faster as tasks change over time. Having a AI agent supporting your day-to-day operations, teaching you what are the new procedures for a particular repair of an engine, for example, or machinery within a factory. That normally takes months and certifications and multiple training sessions, but you have someone guiding you all the time. You're moving away from knowing one task to actually operating to where you can learn quickly and probably find new ways to optimize processes as opposed to just learning some tedious tasks. That's another extremely like value add from AI supporting humans on the field.
Yeah, it opens up this whole new area of human AI interaction,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. But one thing I wanted to point out that in the surface it looks awesome, but there are n number of layers. At least the implementations that we have done, we kind of know that what goes underneath the hood.
Yeah.
So, for example, security. For example, data quality.
Hmm.
You need to have a vectorized database. You need to have that constant testing cycle. You need to have responsible AI and MLOps practices in place, right? I think one good thing that we have done collectively across the verticals and as an organizations
Here at Neudesic, you're
here
saying.
here at Neudesic
Yeah.
is we have those foundational elements at place. And those reusable components which are battle tested, those are already at play. So now the businesses that are working with us, we are running 100 miles per hour towards attaining a particular business goal. Because the foundational elements, they are given, we already have it in place and we can implement it very quickly.
You talk about data quality, which to me is a a term that is near and dear to my heart.
Yes.
There is another component of it is data literacy as a foundational component before you can go into the age of AI. Um, the model is going to be as good as the data that you feed it. And the data that you feed it is going to be as good as the experts that you have on your company.
Garbage in, garbage out. Yep.
Correct. So,
So are we all going to be working for AI? Humans working for AI to feed the algorithm?
I think that the CEO of NVIDIA made a very controversial comment that the IT department is going to become the HR department of agentic AI or AI agents. Correct? They're going to be working for us, I guess. But we're going to have to make sure that they're doing a good job and they're happy and they're performing properly. And that performing properly ultimately in the age of AI comes down to data quality. And you cannot know whether your data have good quality or not if you don't understand it and you don't understand what is the purpose of it or you're using it properly. So there is definitely that data literacy component that is going to be crucial for information workers going into the age of AI.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, another interesting aspect I want to bring in, um, maybe it's more focused towards oil and gas, but definitely applicable towards retail and manufacturing, some of the other industries we support, and that is cost volatility,
Mm.
right? Cost volatility, not only for the raw materials, but also the
Mhm.
finished goods. How
And labor
and
costs.
labor, right? So I think supply chain and procurement, they are tied very closely with the cost, right? It matters to the business in terms of sheer dollar figure, the cost at which you are procuring something, right? I think there also GenAI is helping uh, because of the massive scale and agility by which it can acquire the data, right? And it need not be 100% correct. So that's another thing. And we talked about data quality. Not all data is your master data.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So sometimes perfection uh, is a problem. Like if you are aiming for perfection, your pace of innovation, like it's inversely proportionate, right? So some of the things, absolutely, your master data needs to be 100% true, single source of truth, but not all the data. For example, not all the exhaust data, not all the reference data. So a little bit of error is okay. And I think the models are doing an amazing job in terms of self-correcting and understanding some of the anomalies or the problems in the data. So that's just a totally different angle, which we are not even investing in. We just get it out of the box because we at Neudesic, we are not building the models. We are using off-the-shelf models.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cost optimization is definitely key within the logistics space. Having feedback as a driver on the different stops that you need to take when you have to deliver a package, or when you're like taking cargo from one store to the warehouse, it is critical. So having the ability to self correct quickly and not having to wait for the next time that you schedule a new route optimization is key, and it saves thousands of dollars.
Some of the work we're working on now is in the logistics space for like route optimization and load optimization, right?
Correct.
In the transportation and logistics space, absolutely leveraging the AI capabilities to do that. I think another interesting area is how all of the supply chain use cases for AI can be combined with other technologies like IoT devices, sensors, or 3D technology that we've been talking about to create digital twin. Pedro, you and I just came from a large retail industry conference, and we hear digital twin over and over and over, right? This whole concept. And you were talking about how when people are either working from home or at a different location, how do we give them the ability to visualize and look at what's happening in a whole different physical space? And I think that's the concept of digital twin, is to have that 3D model is leveraging sensors and IoT devices and data, and then bring them back to leveraging that with in conjunction with AI algorithms and things like that.
Absolutely. When it comes to digital twins, I see in the industry a big change and shift to embracing technologies like augmented reality as well as virtual reality to take care of take care of tasks that
Task.
before used to be very manual and in person, and now you
Mhm.
don't have to. You can have technicians solving a problem miles away
Yeah.
from the actual factory,
Yeah.
and you
Like
don't have.
our smart maintenance solution, right?
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us more about the
Yeah,
smart
I'm
maintenance
I'm
Yeah.
just
IQ?
I'm just smiling because whenever you're talking about the industrial Internet of Things and digital twins, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. So I'm just trying to speak less. I want to give you guys some some time to speak about it as well. But IIoT is very very close to my heart. I'm absolutely in love with the entire domain and subject, and it's very broad, very deep, and very colorful. Some of the
And
interest
very much a part of supply chain that we're talking
very
about.
much a part of supply chain. You guys mentioned or briefly touched upon asset tracking,
Hmm.
right? It's part of logistics, part of procurement, core part of supply chain. One of the interesting thing we are doing at Neudesic is obviously we always had the ability to build this large scale advanced analytics IIoT platform where we harvest all the sensor data, create this time series data analytics, anomaly detections. We always had been traditionally good at that. A number of success stories, but now we have partnered with this company called Thin Air. Just has been an amazing partner. They have a great IIoT platform called Sonar, which is uh, but they also have this highly secured commodity sensors. Uh, and so gone are the days of RFID sensors. Now it's all based on Bluetooth low energy, right? And it's super cost effective, like 20, 30, $50. You put it on your high cost, high value cargo good, uh, your transportation, and you can just track it remotely. So those things which were super expensive, go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, uh, we can do it at a record time, and we can do it in a commoditized way, right? And on top of that, it becomes really awesome if we have the agentic AI portion to kind of have a 360-degree view of analyzing this whole complex ecosystem, right? So under the hoods, yes, it's a complex ecosystem with hardware and software, large scale, fast moving data, but the abstraction on top of it, if it's built on modern apps and agentic AI, it becomes super easy for the end users to consume. And this is a revolution that's happening in the core industry sectors we are supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned agentic AI. Pedro, I think you had a really good explanation of what agentic AI is. Share that with us.
Yeah, it's the orchestration of tasks or processes by multiple agents, where you have an orchestrator, you have an executor, and you have other agents performing calculations. Azure OpenAI just released O1, and with O1 comes the ability to perform mathematical equations that before it wasn't available. And
So
now,
now you can combine large language model, small language model, and mathematical from this O1 algorithm.
absolutely reducing tremendously the time that it takes to analyze large data sets, right? Ultimately, what you're giving your analyst is the ability to execute and spend less time trying to analyze large data sets. And
Yeah.
that to me, it's a tremendous win.
And
That
you
will
can
lead,
also then create specialized agent, right?
correct.
And now you can have groups of agents working in conjunction with one another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I should be excited or a little scared or both.
I think it's exciting. I think it opens the opportunity for information workers to go into high value tasks and
Yeah.
start working more on the exciting things rather than the tedious tasks that takes hours that are very like energy draining.
Yeah.
But we have talked about virtual reality. We have talked about augmented reality as well as IoT. But one of the things that I'm most excited about is our partnership with In Context. Shannon, why don't you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so we're working with a company who specializes in creating a 3D model of retail stores. Not only the entire store, but they can also have very detailed 3D model of an aisle of the shelf itself to help create signage and planograms and support promotions and new product launches and do all kinds of testing and simulation like we're talking about. They also have 3D models of individual products where you can actually see the labels. And one of the things that we talked about is digitizing. It's always been a big challenge for grocery and CPG companies to digitize all of their products with nutritional values and the labels and all the facts on them. And they can literally look at the product and take a digital image or video of it and then digitize all that information. It becomes product data for your mobile and your online channels to interact with the consumer. So it's this 3D version of the digital twin of retail stores and the products.
And at that conference that you were mentioning, I saw a great use of it. It's like the ability to alert workers in the store when something takes place. And to me, that's another huge value add because you don't have to perform the same repetitive task all the time. You're just gonna focus on whatever is adding value. The 3D model can inform you when a shelf is empty,
Yeah.
when there are products missing, or when you have to move your inventory around. And also, like, they can tell you, like, where is it that you're having more food traffic, and you can switch things around. So I see tremendous amount of value when it comes to retail in the use of in context.
Yeah, and also allows CPG companies to collaborate with retailers much better, right? In terms of making sure that the in stock is higher and they do better replenishment, and um, it gives them the ability to do better inventory forecasting and demand forecasting. I think that's another area that we see AI adding a lot of value in supply chain. Is on the planning and forecasting side of supply chain before manufacturers and retailers even move all these inventory and products around. They have to come up with their prediction of the quantity and the type of product, and we see a lot of use cases that combines both machine learning algorithms and gen AI to help with forecasting.
No, no, absolutely. And digital twin is uh, has always been a great value driver uh, in the manufacturing and oil and gas space. Specifically, for manufacturing, if I take the example, uh, a digital twin of the factory uh, gives the operators a great bird's eye view of the factory operations. It can go in n number of different directions, in, let's say, in terms of predictive maintenance.
Mhm.
Now, predictive maintenance also has a dotted line to your procurement, right? If you know your machine is going to fail in 6 months, you can make your procurement team ready, put a purchase order for that equipment part in the cheapest and get the best possible cost out of it, right? Uh, Again, I'll go back to my earlier point. What's making this very easy to consume is the industrial copilots, again powered by that agentic AI architecture. And the best part about that is, and we have implemented quite a few,
Yeah.
is the awesome accuracy of delegation. Because yes, there are a number of agents working together in harmony, but it also knows and understands when to delegate it to a human, something that it cannot, and it has been doing it with close to 100% accuracy.
Absolutely. Um, Another big cultural shift that has taken in the new generation, it's care for the environment. And at Neudesic, we have been working heavily on ESG. So, Raj, why don't you tell us more about that?
Yeah, ESG has been very, very close to my heart. Again, it's a priority for all the core industrial sectors. I think it's even a more priority for our energy customers and the manufacturing customers. Um, One of the best way uh, organizations can contribute back and increase their ESG score, decrease their scope 3 emissions is by moving to public cloud. For example, Microsoft and Azure is carbon negative. So this is fairly age old, but the concept still applies. You moving from on premise to from those old appliances to cloud based solution is not only going to save you cost, but your chief sustainability officer is going to love it because Azure is carbon negative, mind it, not carbon neutral, carbon negative. You using Azure, you're actually contributing back,
Mhm.
and that all kind of adds up, right? Uh, but so we have our own ESG dashboard. We are very very focused on that. Microsoft has its own sustainability dashboard, which is very detailed, released like 4 or 5 years back. Huge industry adoption. So one of the call to action uh, I would say to the organizations is some of the adoptions are very very low hanging fruit. It's out there for free for someone to just grab it and put it in their environment.
And some of it is just the ability to manage your data and exposing some of the work that they might already been doing, tracking carbon footprint, for example, or doing logistic optimization, which will reduce the number of miles traveled and things like that. Those all have ESG impact. Sometimes organizations are not tracking or reporting those properly. That's something that we're hoping through our expertise in both supply chain and also in data management using AI to help. Right.
Oh yeah, the route optimization. For example, one we did for a large cement manufacturing. They had n number of supply points, right? Um, and a 5% route optimization has saved a lot of fossil fuel consumption. So you're right.
Yes.
Uh, and then there are dashboards which can track this saving of fossil fuel and how they're contributing back to the environment. This is super fascinating.
Yeah, it's also obviously in the travel industry. Travel and hospitality is a huge factor. I think a lot of people would talk about airlines and cruise lines and
Oh yeah.
the amount of carbon footprint and how they can reduce that.
Absolutely.
All right. So this has been great, and I can see that all of us are super passionate about this. But I would like to kind of end this on two notes. One is a call to action, and second one is we need to do it more frequently,
Mhm.
right? Uh, the call to action is we at Neudesic, we are hyper focused on transforming the supply chain procurement industry powered by AI. And we have done it at n number of customers. And we would like to talk with you, uh, understand what you are doing. And it's bi-directional. We would hope to learn from you. And hopefully we can share with you something that you can implement in your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think this has been very interesting discussion and conversation. Have the three of us sitting at the same table to be able to talk about some of these topics.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to help you embrace the age of AI and agentic AI, and more importantly, bring you the technology expertise as well as the industry expertise to solve your problems.
Yeah. Well, very good talking to both of you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same here. Same
it's
here.
been a pleasure.